Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a quick review on AEW Dynamite for October 21st, 2020 review. Just going to discuss the overall presentation of the show, the matches, and most importantly, that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. Not in a bad way. It was very awkward, very different, very innovative, and definitely out of the box. What the fuck was that with Chris Jericho and MJF? They were doing a Broadway musical on a wrestling show. This has never been done before. Something you would probably see on a WWE televised event. But unfortunately, that was not the case. It was done on AEW. Not that it was unfortunate. It's just unfortunate for WWE to pass up on a great opportunity that something would be in their realm of form of entertainment. This was funny, hilarious, and definitely off the walls fucking crazy. So just to give you an image, in case you maybe didn't catch the Dynamite episode here tonight, you got MJF and Chris Jericho sitting down and they're discussing about whether or not MJF could join the Inner Circle. And they're competing over who could have the most rarest meat for a porterhouse steak. That was the ridiculous part. Then things get even more bizarre. They say the same name that wouldn't get over in AEW, and that's Orange Cassidy. They both agree on that. So then all of a sudden, it turns into a Broadway show. I'm expecting Frank Sinatra to pop out of his fucking coffin and start dancing all over again. And singing. It was the most bizarre thing I have ever seen on a wrestling show. In all of history of wrestling, to be quite frank with you. And I've seen some pretty fucked up shit. This was just bizarro beyond bizarre. So that was one thing that happened on the show, and I thought that was fucking great. It definitely got me laughing. I think MJF and Chris Jericho as a team are great together. I wouldn't even mind them as a tag team, but seeing them as a tag team would kind of downgrade their ability to make it as singles competitors, so I don't think that would be a great idea. What else happened on the show? We had all four single matches in this tournament to crown a number one contender for the World Championship going into Full Gear for the finals. We had Hangman Page beat Colt Cabana, which was very predictable. Not to mention, speaking of the tournament, they did mention they had Taz, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks talking about how Ricky Starks has been screwed over lately. The guy's got a 9-1 record, and yet he ain't being placed in any major important title match at all. Whether it's the TNT Championship or the tournament for the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title, which I think he belonged in that tournament. A 9-1 record. I mean, come on. You're not giving a guy a shot at the fucking opportunity of becoming World Heavyweight Champion? I mean, that's crazy. So, I kind of feel bad for Ricky Starks. So yeah, Hangman Page beat Colt Cabana. We had Sonny Kiss get his ass kicked by Kenny Omega, which definitely is predictable. Of course, that would have happened. Originally, it was Joey Janela, but for whatever reason, they took him out. I don't know if it was injury or COVID-19. You had Pentagon Jr. Ray Phoenix have a fucking luchador classic matchup between these two, which is nothing unusual if you've seen these guys compete in Impact Wrestling or in Lucha Underground. These guys more than likely in Lucha Underground, I'm not sure about that, but I've never watched them in Lucha Underground, but I know they both competed there, and if they have competed there against each other, I'm certain they put on a good match up there. I know in Impact Wrestling for sure they did a great matchup between those two, I think a couple of times actually. And here was no different. Who else am I missing out here? Oh, Wardlow beat the shit out of Jungle Boy to kickstart the show, which was nothing unusual there. That was expected to happen. So, looking into the next round, we got Kenny Omega facing Rey Fenix in the second round, and we got Wardlow versus Hangman Page. This should be two good matches leading into the second round, and then, of course, we're going to see Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page, more than likely, going into the finals of the Full Gear pay-per-view. So that's what I imagine we're probably going to see. We had a little bit of promos going on, both between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Very good stuff there. They really just kind of used a very simple, simplistic way of putting these two guys together by stating, hey, Eddie Kingston is pissed off about the fact that Jon Moxley went to WWE to become a sports entertainer instead of being a professional wrestler. And he thought that was sickening and kind of in a way selling his soul to the devil himself. And selling out just so he can make a good amount of bucks. He found that to be disgusting. In his mind, Eddie Kingston is a guy that loves pro wrestling. He's about wrestling, not about sports entertainment. So, I like the storyline. It's very simple, straight to the point. Good reason for them to have the match. Not to mention, Kingston didn't tap out or say I quit, so they went with the I quit match. Love it. Was predicting that was probably going to happen, or something else, like a last man standing match or something of that nature. Or a submission match. So those were the three predictions I made last week. And of course, it was an I quit match, which is more believable because of the fact that, hey, I didn't say I quit or tap out. So let's go with I quit. Verbally saying it and literally quitting. So I think that's going to be great. I think these two guys are going to tear the house down. And I really think we're going to see like something they've done in the independent wrestling scene where people never seen these two guys wrestle before unless you were paying attention to like CZW or something of that kind of nature. This is definitely going to be a hardcore ECW type style matchup we're going to see. I wouldn't have a problem with them doing a flaming table. That would be kind of neat, but that would be very dangerous. I don't think they need to go that far to get the match over, but it would be a good way to make Eddie Kingston say I quit. Just saying. But hey, that's just my opinion. I don't know where they're going to go with this. I don't know how they're going to make Kingston say I quit. But it should be very interesting. Jon Moxley, he kind of expresses his opinions about that as well. He states about how he was always his friend, even though he went to WWE. Never mentioned WWE, by the way. But he is going to earn Kingston's respect, or he's going to kill him in the process of that match. So that's basically his viewpoint on the match and what he's going to do. It's pretty simplistic, nothing over the top ridiculous, very straightforward and to the point. So I really appreciate that. Britt Baker was in action. Who gives a fuck? She won the match. Was against some fucking shitty competitor. Thought the matchup sucked. Women's division in AEW is by far the worst. The only thing worse than that probably would be WWE's women's division outside the NXT women's division. The NXT women's division blows both of those divisions away. Granted, though, anything from NXT that goes to the WWE, they get demolished and destroyed and buried 6 feet under. Speaking of burials or death, you're talking about Darby Allin when you talk about that, because apparently he likes to be in body bags and roll down a fucking skateboard ramp. He went to the wrong company. If he wanted to be in a body bag and buried alive, he should have went to WWE. So that was just a ridiculous thing. He was just trying to make himself look intimidating against the two guys that are competing next week for the TNT Championship with Cody and not Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy. So it should be interesting, and not to mention Orange Cassidy will be competing for the TNT Championship against Cody with a lumberjack match to make sure that the entire Dark Order is excluded out of this match so they can't interfere or cause any havoc on the match, so they can have a deciding winner on this match. Even though it really didn't play a factor in it, it went to a draw, so I don't know how they played a factor in this to make it a lumberjack match, but whatever. I think it's kind of stupid. But it is what it is. Then the last match, which was the main event, was the Young Bucks, John Silver and Alex Reynolds, Butcher and the Blade, and Private Party. I disagree with their decision here. I think they're rushing a little too soon with the Young Bucks and FTR. I think they should have just let this happen next year in 2021, either Revolutions or at Double or Nothing in May. I think this match happening at Full Gear this year is a bit too soon. FTR has held the tag team titles for less than 2 months. I think if you're going to have this match happen, you have FTR lose the tag titles to the Young Bucks and give the Young Bucks their credibility to say they're one of the best tag teams in the world by giving them the tag team titles. But to take the tag team titles off of FTR this soon, I don't agree with. FTR deserves a longer reign. They've been doing a great job in AEW. They did great in WWE despite what WWE did to them creatively, which was god-awful terrible. But they did some good matches, especially in NXT before they came up to the main roster. So to put this match, make this match now and on November 7th, I don't agree with. I mean, I expect the match to be fantastic, don't get me wrong. But for this match to happen this soon is a little unfair to FTR, and I don't see why you would make the Young Bucks lose to FTR and put over another tag team when they paid their dues to be tag team champions at this point. The team that really should have won, and they were actually involved in the decision, was Private Party. I think Private Party should have won this matchup, faced FTR, and I think this matchup should have been happening for Private Party and FTR for the tag team titles, giving FTR, a very suitable win over a good team. Not to mention, the Private Party are a young team. These two guys are like in their early 20s, moving into their mid-20s. Why not give them some stardom and show them off in a tag team championship match? They haven't gotten tag team championship match, I think, at all. Maybe once. But other than that, I haven't seen them be able to do anything. They've had some good matches. They've been very good. But they haven't gotten that ability to actually shine in a major pay-per-view world title match for the tag team titles. I think that was a little unfair. I think they rushed the gun with the FTR versus Young Bucks. So I'm not in agreement with it. I expect the match to be good, but then again, they're going to have to make the Young Bucks lose, and again, the Young Bucks will be unsuccessful in capturing the AEW tag team titles. I do not agree with that. That is terrible, terrible idea. It gives the Young Bucks no capability of actually winning or actually looking credible as a tag team, even though they are definitely one of the best tag teams in the world. Easily, hands down. I mean, they're the modern day versions of the fucking Rockers, of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, okay? So, quite frankly, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. They had FTR also attack Matt Jackson with a chair. Tully Blanchard was covering his face and everything, disguising himself. He attacked him with a chair, and then they put a chair in Matt Jackson's leg, and then one of the FTR members climbed up to the top rope, stomped on the chair, and fucked up his leg. And now the Young Bucks are going in there as underdogs with Matt Jackson, again with another type of injury, while probably Nick Jackson will be doing most of the work in the matchup. If you're familiar with Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson's history in the last 2 years, since 2018, going from New Japan Wrestling AEW, Matt Jackson has either literally had a bad back issue, or he acted or sold a back issue or back injury while he was in New Japan Wrestling. I'm figuring that he did have a back injury, but eventually healed from it and then just continued on acting as if he had a back injury to sell it and make it look entertaining and like see how they could overcome those odds. Now, if you're going to do that, you can't make the Young Bucks beat FTR at this point. You're just going to make FTR look like fucking shit. Quite frankly, I think this is a bad idea. I didn't like this idea. I think Private Party, again, should be number one contenders competing for the tag team titles. And another thing I was going to mention here is that the Private Party, if they were going to win, the Young Bucks should not have been part of that decision. That's another thing I forgot to mention here. So, when I saw that whole issue going down between Isaiah Cassidy and fucking Matt Jackson, I knew for a fact Matt Jackson was going to pull it off, get the 1-2-3 roll-up, have the roles reversed from when they had that tag team tournament from last year, and do a role reversal where Matt Jackson gets the roll-up and the victory. So, there you go. That's pretty much the overall view on the show. They did touch a little on Kip Sabian and fucking Miro and why their story with the fucking best friends, which is probably the worst storyline going right now on AEW, while everything else is very good. This is probably the lamest fucking story I have ever seen. They're going to go ahead and compete over the fact that Trent was thrown into a gaming arcade piece of equipment that supposedly, quote unquote, was plugged in and was destroyed with no problem at all. And that's their big reason why they're having a rivalry? Wow, what a fuck up, lame way of doing things just to give Miro and Kip Sabian a spot on television. That's fucking stupid as hell. But that's the only real complaint I have about this show. The rest of the show is great. I think all the storylines being built here are good. The decision on the Young Bucks, again, it's not a terrible decision, but I don't agree with the decision. I think it's too soon. That's just me, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, guys, and a wonderful night.